Okay, so as I've already told you that we are going to do a new framework today. I've given you readings also, almost 4 chapters we would be covering in the lecture, some 2 chapters where they are all connected. Now, what is the significance of this framework is that if you're interested to analyze pictures, okay, you can apply this framework of visual representation of social actors. This is by Leuven and Gunther Chris. Okay, so there are two theorists who have, given this framework of visual representations of social actors. The aims and objective of this framework and these theorists remain the same as of the other theorists and basically the field of critical discourse analysis. So they are not no different. That is why and this is counted as one of the frameworks and theoretical perspective in critical discourse analysis. So if you're interested, in pictures of any kind, basically it deals with the photographs, but you can take the pictures from the advertisements also, and from any of the magazines, from the books also. And at the end of this lecture, I'll show you a thesis that was done by my supervisee. She applied this framework on the pictures of Afghan refugees, okay, how they are portrayed photographically in the media, okay, and what kind of perception the government of Pakistan or the people of Pakistan or the media of Pakistan wants to build as far as these refugees are concerned, okay. And I will also show you a paper that was basically an assignment, right, of critical discourse analysis of the same course, which was accepted in a conference in the US. But my supervisee could not go because of visa issues. But anyway, it was a very good paper. Now, she analyzed graphic novels. Perhaps you have an idea of what graphic novels are. So since graphic novels consist of pictures, okay, the whole novel is written in the form of pictures. It has, hand-drawn pictures basically by the author of the novel. So she worked with those, and she wrote a paper that is published now in a good category journal in Pakistan, but it was accepted in a conference in the US. Okay, so by the end of this, lecture, if we get time, I'll share those theses and the published paper with you. Other than that, one of my supervisees worked with the pictures of private schools and the government schools. Okay, the thesis is not at hand with me, and the candidate has got her degree also, but it was a good thesis. Okay, she made a comparison between the pictures that are published in the media, that are sometimes shown in the media, and sometimes they are published in the media. So social media also, she took all the media, right? The social media also, the print media, and then this electronic media. So she compared the pictures of the public schools and the private schools, how they are, how schools are, two different systems are portrayed by the media. Okay. So we'll see if we get time. We can have very many specimens. So many of my supervisees have taken this, and this is an interesting framework. You would really like this. Okay. Now, and there's a paper also. You can work with this framework in combination. As I told you, Fairclough's is 3D model is a universal one. It is applicable everywhere. So if there is a combination of words and images, so there can be two frameworks also. There I saw a paper, okay? So I'll share the paper also with you. Now, what happened is that during this Gulf War, Okay, how many of you know about Gulf War? When did it happen and what was the reason? Just as a matter of, I'm just checking your general knowledge. Okay, Sadi Sohail is asking about the midterm result, right? Sadia, I'm not a machine. I cannot check these papers even before a week. Okay, who's raising her hand? Sama, do you know what was Gulf War? When did it happen? For what reasons?
Yes, ma'am. Gulf War actually started after Muhammad Bouaziz's death. He was a common man and he was really honest man and hardworking. He was working hard to give his sisters education, and one day he realized that how through power where the where he used to sell his goods. I don't know what he used to sell, but he used to sell something, and he saw that some powerful people has occupied his place. He complained, but no one listened to him, and then what he did, he set himself on fire, and one of his cousins make the video and put that on social media, and that became viral. And what's happening these days after George Floyd's death, same happened after Muhammad Bouaziz's death, and that even result that became violent, and many changes became in the Gulf countries until today. We can feel that, and many countries became democratic, and many politicians went. And ma'am, what is this? I remember I have forgotten what else happened.
But when did this Gulf War take place? When did it
Ma'am, I
happen?
think after 2011.
Okay. Now the Gulf War that I'm talking about is a different one. It was for oil. Okay, and it was between Kuwait and Iraq, right? And Kuwait was backed by the American army, and not just by the American army, but by the Allied forces also. Back in 1990 and 1991, I don't know if you were even born then. So Leuven was residing in Australia at that time, and he because whenever there is a war going on, um, the media, all the media covers this single story. So he started collecting the pictures from different newspapers that were being in circulation in Australia specifically, and he started collecting those pictures from the war, and then he started analyzing them as well, right? So um, he found out many things: how Muslim women were represented, how the Allied forces were represented, how Black soldiers were excluded when it came to showing the bravery of this army, Allied forces army. So he noticed that the Blacks were actually excluded. Um, and then he showed that Muslims were shown as a group of people. Muslim women were recognized through their scarves, and how their pictures were taken. Okay, so in this framework we are going to actually talk about how camera takes the picture, and how it includes people and excludes people too. Other than that, what kind of an angle does the camera take, and what can be its interpretation? What are the social relations that can be found in the pictures or the photographs? And how these what reality, and how many versions of reality a picture can show you. Okay, if even it is not written, but pictures can speak by themselves, if even they are not along with the words. Okay, now other than that, he has worked on both images alone and images with words. And he believes that images and words have different functions in any of the pictures. Okay. Before we move on to properly analyzing the pictures, let's see what this framework is all about and how you can, actually apply it. It's a very organized kind of a framework. It gives you proper headings also, and most of what it talks about, most of the headings would cover any of the pictures that shows any kind of inequality, bias, racism, feminism, class differences, anything. Okay, so all those can be areas that he covers are actually applicable. Now he says that there is a function of words and images, right? We have noticed that whenever we are looking at an advertisement, especially in the print media, because in this electronic media, usually the pictures are moving. Okay. Otherwise, in the print media, you have static pictures. Now these pictures are accompanied by words most of the time. Okay, most of the time, but not all the time. Sometimes images stand alone also. Okay, and those images that even stand alone, they give you a lot of meaning. These are meaningful images, but still, he says that words and images, if images are with words, both of these have different functions. Words are for explanation, okay? And it tells you the perspective of the one who is posting the picture, right? And sometimes, when facts cannot be given in images, those facts are written in words. Okay, so if there is a need for any kind of explanation with the image, then we can use, or then people make use of words. Otherwise, images by themselves are enough, because images provide you interpretations. Think of any kind of ad, think of any kind of pictures of the politicians, right? That keep on appearing in the newspapers. Think of pictures of these real estate property businesses, okay? The way they portray a house with a couple and two kids, right? And they give you a very serene kind of an image of that place, okay, just to sell it, right? So they actually work on people's imagination. These images basically work on people's imagination. So if they need some kind of words like prices or some kind of, there are some verses also in writing. So this can be the function of words. Otherwise, if you just look at the image, you get it all. Okay. An image occupies more place when it comes to, these advertisements, or when it comes to the picture of any of the celebrities. Image occupy more place and words occupy less place or less space, right? So images basically provide you more information than words would do. Words are only for the explanation what is already given by the image. So images are significant for Lewin. Okay, so images can provide interpretation. They tell you some ideologies also that we have already discussed. Okay, while we were doing FCDA, I gave you some examples of the pictures. So the pictures were enough to tell you some kind of ideologies. Okay, they give you colored angles also. Colored means, of course, anything that is coming from someone with a certain kind of ideology is colored. Okay, it's not black and white, it is colored. Colored means it can be biased also, because it is coming from someone's head. Anything that comes from people's head is subjective. Subjective is the right word, right? So whenever there is subjectivity in something, that means it's colored. Okay. anything, humans have their opinions, humans have their perspectives, humans have their experiences. So whatever comes from them is basically subjective and therefore colored. So now images do not say things explicitly. Okay, that's why because they don't say anything explicitly, they are interpreted. Okay, they give you suggestions, they may give you connotation, they may link you to some historical event or anything, but they are not very explicit. That is why we later on we'll also discuss that anything like racism or feminism or inequality portrayed through the images can be negated. Okay, if someone has made a racist image and hasn't written anything on it, right, he can negate it later on. If he is marked as racist, he can always negate because he has not given anything in writing. Words are explicit. You cannot erase them, you cannot negate them. You can just say that I did not mean it. Okay, but playing with the images, doing anything against people or that leads to inequality, that manifests racism, or anything that we address through critical discourse analysis can be negated later on. For instance, if you remember, the ad was banned later on, but if you remember, there was a Chinese ad of I guess a washing machine where they put some black person to be washed, and then when he comes out he's white. Okay, so the ad became debatable, but since it did not say anything, it was only the actions that were happening and was interpreted as racist. Later on, the ad was banned for the same reason, but it was only people's interpretation. The Chinese never said that what they actually meant. They were advertising a washing machine. So how could an ad of washing machine be racist? Okay. So instead of putting clothes there, they put a black man, and when the black man comes out of the washing machine, he's white. Okay. But they, of course, this advertising agency negated their intentions, but people actually worked towards it, and later on it was banned. We don't see it anymore. Okay. There would be other examples also by Leuven about the toothpaste also. It was named as Darky first, and then because of people were critical about it and labeled it as a racist ad, then they changed Darky to Darlie, right? But the image remained the same. They changed the words. Okay, so words are explicit and images are for interpretation, because they're not explicit, they are just suggestive, they are connotative, and they might link one event to another, right? Okay, so sometimes we see some neutral images also, and just to understand, in order to understand the function of images and visualization, there are in science subjects there are diagrams. Okay, and then there are some words also. So a diagram, of course, it's science diagram is neutral, so you can see how well the diagram explains. Okay, so science students are asked to draw the diagrams also. They are taught to draw those diagrams. They are taught to actually learn those diagrams and explain this. Sometimes we get a question, explain a diagram. So the image can be explained in words. Words are basically for for explanation. So in the field of science and technology, maybe these visualizations are complete and explicit of explaining things. And even words are not important in such fields, right? They are not suggestive, they are not connotative, but they're explicit explanation. But this does not happen in the images beyond science. Visualizations have different purposes later on. Okay, so other than that, in advertisements, I told you, like I gave you the example of real estate business, these property dealers, and if you have seen the print advertisements of Beharia Town or DHA, so they give you dreams of glamour or fulfillment, and they actually allude to a happy life. They refer to a happy life. They give you picture perfect happiness. Okay, and they tell you, they actually define happiness for you through these images. Okay, as in one of the pictures that we were doing in Fairclough's framework, we saw a major's wife, right, whose husband has gone to fight a battle. So what the discourse was doing was to tell us how a wife should behave, what would be an ideal wife of an army officer who has gone to defend the country. Similarly, these images give you the idea of an ideal life, okay, from from a popular perspective. They actually form your ideologies, your belief systems. So this is what we have been doing in CDA, and here what Leuven tells you, that this can be done through images also. Okay, so the words might give you the information that you need. I told you that words would give you facts, okay, and maybe the specification of the product, or sometimes the address from where you can get it. Otherwise, images by themselves give you complete information whatsoever is needed, right? Now, one more thing, if you have seen the newspapers, and I'll show you in a while, any news about the politician, it is not important that the picture is taken at that particular moment when they were writing the news about him. Okay, they would take any picture that is related to the text they are about to write. Okay, so in newspapers we find out what the politician did, and the image is captured in any of the fleeting moments, right? So they have these media men, these journalists have a collection of pictures, and they can publish it anytime, whenever there is a need to, and whenever their words match that particular picture. Okay, now let me show you a picture that's of an old politician, but still we have the picture. Right. It's about, you know, it's about the Panama. Wait. Now look at this picture. Okay. This is when Panama Gate was about to start. This is an old one. Now this picture of Nawaz Sharif is not necessarily taken during this particular time of Panama. Okay, it was taken at any fleeting moment. It was lying in the collection of the journalist, because what he has written actually matches with how he looks. He looks worried in the picture. Okay, so they give this news to, you know, actually go along with this picture. right? So in newspapers, the pictures and these images are captured at any fleeting moment, right? And whenever they would need the picture, they they would create their own writing or their own story or their own headline, which would be accompanied by a picture that is not necessarily taken at that particular moment. Okay, so this is how these pictures and images work. Okay, I thought someone is saying something. Right. Faryal, do you want to say something?
No, ma'am.
I saw your raised hand, that's why I asked. Oh, just wait, let me connect to the presentation. Okay. Yes, Aima, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, pictures of wet market of China and Chinese people after COVID-19 outbreak. They were
Mm-hmm.
still aware that these markets are really impossible for the spread of the viruses, and also the many other viruses. Stories were related with them, and how patient zero was a Chinese, and how the way they deal with the meals of these animals, and how they are
Mm-hmm.
living in that market, and all the blood and etc was running
Yeah.
there. These pictures
Mm-hmm.
were showing that how the wet markets are actually the cause behind this virus.
Mm-hmm. And the bat became very, very popular. I do not know when the pictures of bats were taken, maybe long time back by those animal
Yes,
lovers,
ma'am.
but those were published during the time of COVID-19. Okay. Yes, this is what I wanted to tell you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Another picture after Muhammad Soleimani, the Major General of Iranian, when he was assassinated by the Americans, then we, the Pakistanis, we realized that what America wants from the Pakistan, and there was a caricature. Um, I think that was in Dan. Uncle Sam is carrying an stick and a carrot, and Imran Khan is standing and agree to accept that carrot. That also shows
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yes, exactly. Okay, right. Now, other than that, as I told you that, uh, how these words and images can be related intentionally. Okay, they are not actually related automatically, but they are related intentionally. So on the one hand, Barthes tells us that these photographic images are mechanical reproduction of what is in front of the lens. Okay, and he has talked about multiple interpretable realities, right? And this is what I was referring to as subjectivity, right? So he says whenever an image comes to us, it is taken from a certain perspective by the photographer. It is used by the journalist with another perspective. Okay, and it is interpreted by the viewers uh, in some other way. So there are multiple interpretable realities. Okay, so how this could be fixed? Then there is a need for words. Okay, because an image can be interpreted in a number of ways. So if someone wants to fix its interpretation, that people do not interpret it in any other way than the one intended, so words would fix this. Words would fix the interpretation so that there are no more interpretation, despite the fact that an image can have multiple interpretations, because it is linked with multiple realities. Okay, now also many of the objects reproduced as photographs can be associated from where they have come. Okay, as I told you that some of the images would link you to the past, to the history. You would see from where are they coming. And so they convey all the values and ideas of that popular culture they are associated with, the place or origin. As I have given you the example of my supervisee who has worked on these Afghan refugees, right? So there is a huge difference of how Afghan refugees were, presented when they allowed them to enter Pakistan as Muslim brothers, and now at this time when they have, when they are defamed as criminals or as terrorists. So there is a difference in the pictures that were given to this Pakistan, the Pakistani people, right? So this also helps you in understanding what era the picture was taken or what is it associated with, from where it coming, right? We have already discussed that there are media groups who are supportive of the government, and there are media groups who are supportive of the opposition, or there are media groups who are supportive of, the superpowers, like US Popular for the same. So as critical discourse analysts, we need to find out from there where this image is coming, who is associated with it, okay, who is going to benefit for portraying such an image, okay, who is spreading the image, right? So this also gives you a lot of interpretation. Now, as I've already told you that any racism or anything like racism or inequality or whatever other things we study in critical discourse analysis is visually represented, can be negated easily. Okay, this can be denied. Then if it's said in words, or if it comes in writing in words, okay, so that can be denied. Now I also referred to one of the brands, a toothpaste brand, and their ads, right? Now why these Africans are used in these toothpaste ads? Because they are dark and their teeth are white. In contrast, their teeth look more white. Okay, that is why they become I wouldn't say they become models for these advertisements, but they are used, their pictures are used for these advertisements. So I was telling you about a brand of toothpaste. Now see, it came in words. Okay, Daki was the name of the toothpaste. This is, long time back during World War II. So it shows the shining white teeth in a black face on their labels and in their advertisements. When Daki, originally produced in Hong Kong, was acquired by Colgate America, anti-racist groups protested and the name was changed to Darlie. Now what was changed? It was only the words that were changed. The image wasn't changed. The image remained the same, of a black boy who was smiling, who was broadly smiling. Okay, so the stereotypical picture of this child, or the black face with exaggeratedly white teeth, was apparently not considered racist, and it remained. The picture remained, right? The black face remained, the exaggeratedly white teeth remained, but only these words changed from Daki to Darlie. Okay, and that also when it came to America, and then we know that America always had these anti-racist groups. Okay, so that means that anything that is said in words, you can be accountable for that. But any picture that you produce, you are not answerable. Okay, or anyone who has produced a picture of such inequality or of racism or of feminism or anything alike, it can be easily denied. It can be negated. Okay. Now let's come to Leuven's framework. How does he formulate his framework, and what questions does he want you to answer if you are actually applying this framework? Now, there are two things when looking at the image, and we will be talking about people. Basically, he worked with people. I gave you examples of advertisements of these properties or products or cosmetics or क्या होते हैं, electronics, but Leuven actually worked with photographs of the people and group of people. Okay, so he actually answers two questions. How are people depicted? Okay, and how are the depicted people related to the viewer? And in these answering these questions, he's going to categorize the analyzing. There would be categories for analysis, right? Now, there are three dimensions that we would be covering to answer these questions. Okay. The three different dimensions are the social distance, social relations, and social interaction. Okay, because we are trying to find out how people are depicted and what is the relation between the depicted people and the viewer. Okay, because viewer need to relate to the people who are depicted in some way, then they are going to interpret those, right? If there are irrelevant pictures you cannot relate to, so you won't have, the viewers won't have any interest in it. So whenever there are pictures, there are photographs, it is according to a particular population. It is according to the audience that are expected to view the picture. Okay. Now there are three things while we would be dealing with this, which are called as dimensions. We would be talking about the social distance, the social relations, and the social interaction. Now, in social distance, we'll try to find out the social distance between the people depicted and the viewer. Social relation between the depicted people and the viewer. Okay, and the social interaction also between the people who are being depicted in the pictures and the viewers. Now, as far as the social distance is concerned, generally in real life situations also, when we are talking about our interpersonal relationships, so distance communicates a lot of things. Okay, we keep our distance from the strangers and we are close to our near ones. Okay, so this social distance can be depicted in the pictures also. Okay, we would see that if it's a close shot, we feel nearer to the people. Okay, and people who are different from us, who are strangers, or people who are disliked, people who are not equal, they are actually taken from a long shot, and we would see in the pictures also. Okay, so distance basically indicates the closeness also, figuratively, literally also, and in the pictures also. So this closeness can be temporary, this closeness can have a certain duration also, this can be permanent as well, and whatever more precise meaning it gains in specific context. I would give you the example of before COVID-19, pre-COVID-19. Abhi to, the Chinese are really defamed for this, but pre-COVID-19, the pictures of Chinese were actually a positive portrayal of them. Okay, and you would always see that Indians are negatively portrayed in the pictures even. Okay, and Chinese are shown to be close to us, right? Because this is a perspective that the government works towards. Okay, with the help of the media, of course. They need some channels, so media does it for them, right? So whatever they want people to feel close to, they show them in close shots, right? The people that they want to be thought as strangers, they are taken from a long shot, and we would see those. So this distance is symbolic, and if some people are really into photography, they know about the long shots that are taken from far away, and they also know about the close-ups. Okay, and close-ups according to Leuven's framework is about one of us, right? Saima is raising her hand, and if you have these books, please take out page number 139. Otherwise, I can share the book, my book, on the screen. Yes, Saima, what do you want to say?
Ma'am, the pictures of white Americans and the black Americans, they are
Yes.
taken together to show that how these days the whites and blacks are becoming friends and white are
Mm-hmm.
respecting the blacks. There are lots of the pictures and they show that how they are in relationship. I also find a picture in one of these books that a white woman was sitting with a black man. This shows that we are nowadays anti-racist, we are against racism, and we are becoming friends. And
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I'm taking the class to the same picture that you are talking about. See? Now, see, this is taken from a long shot. These are Muslim women somewhere in the Western countries. Okay, there's a long shot. And this shows that they are unable to assimilate. Okay, and here these two people are shown together. The picture is taken from a close-up. It's a close-up picture. This is a long shot. This is a close-up. Okay, so these are the people who are strangers and remain strangers in the countries that they migrate to. Okay, and here are the people who might have migrated from some other countries, but they have assimilated well, and they are one of us. One of us means one of the people whosoever has taken the photograph. They are actually assimilated in the culture. Yes, Humera, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, this from this picture, I remember this one thing that this white and black. There was one picture, and the woman was white and the man was black, and in the caption was written that Oreo with vanilla biscuit. So in the picture, the assimilation is shown, but within the word, the racism is shown. That
Mhm.
Oreo with vanilla biscuit.
Yes.
So deep in the, like, if we go through the words, the word give us this explanation that this is the racist idea, but within the
Mhm.
picture they give us this intention that they are one of us, they are in group. So this
Yes,
is one thing which I have remembered.
that's good. Yes, Simon, do you want to say something? Okay, Simon just raised, lowered her hand. Okay, fine. Right. So this is the, and it says the third world in our streets. This is the third world. Okay. So call them third world, call them Muslims, call them anything, but they are outgrouped here. And according to Leuven, that is why they are taken from a long shot. Okay. Now, getting back to here, let's talk about, I hope the social distance is clear to you. There are two things in social distance that we would look at, whether the shot is a long shot or it's a close-up. Now, the second variable is the angle from which we see the person, or the photographer has seen the person. Okay. Now, this includes a vertical angle, whether the picture is taken from the above, the picture is taken at the eye level or from below, or the horizontal level. Okay. Now, whether we see a person frontally or from the side, or perhaps from somewhere in between. Now, these angles express two aspects that can be represented through social relations between the viewer and the people in the picture. Okay, those are power and involvement. Now, according to Leuven, if a picture is taken from above, right, that means that people are shown down below. And this gives a imaginary symbolic power over the person, right? The kind of high position, which in real life would be, created by stages like we have pulpits and we have balconies and other devices that elevate people in order to show their social elevation. Similar is the case, when a picture is taken vertically from above. That means that those in the picture are being looked down upon. Okay. And when the picture is taken from below and someone is shown as above, like someone at the pulpit or the stage or the balcony, that means the person or that group of people is shown to have power, right? Power over the viewers. And then if if a group of people or the person is taken from the vertical angle, the viewers are, given an interpretation that they are below us. Okay. And when you want to show a group of people or people who are equal, according to Leuven, the picture is taken from the eye level. That shows equality. So other than that, there are two more things as involvement. Basically, there are two things as power and involvement. In power, you have people higher than you. You have people who are maybe looked down upon, and there are people who are equal. The second thing is involvement. Involvement again has either involvement or detachment. So in real life equivalence, in the difference between coming face to face with people, it is like confronting them, right? And from such a position, we may be doing the same thing, example, listening to a lecture, but we don't actually communicate with each other. Okay. So for this, we are going to look at another picture on page number 140 as far as the social relation is concerned. You will see how the picture is taken, right? So in distance, there is long shot and there is a close-up. In social relations, there are angles through which a certain photograph is taken, okay? Then there is detachment or attachment. Now look here. There is a picture of Burmese refugees while we are studying social relations, okay? Burmese refugees in Bangladesh. The picture is taken from above, okay? To show that these people are below the viewers or the one who has taken the picture, okay? And these people are tried to be portrayed as inferior to the viewer or to the one who has taken this photograph, okay? Other than that, there are so many things that needs interpretation. They look poor. They are many in number. The plates are empty. They are hungry, and of course, they are refugees. Okay. So let me add some people. Okay, coming back to the social interaction. Now, social interaction is whether or not depicted people look at the viewer, okay? Whether you must have seen that sometimes some photographs look like the people are interacting with you. They are looking at you, okay? And at other times, it seems that when the picture was taken, people were not even aware what kind of picture is being taken, okay? Humaira, do you want to say something? Yes, Humaira.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the same picture which you have shown of the Burmese refugee, ma'am, this Luan, he has also highlighted this thing that the one kid, he is looking at us, but we are ignoring him. because
Exactly.
he is not from the part of us. That's why we are ignoring that someone is looking at us in this picture. He also highlighted this thing that yes, the picture is captured from the above, and all these kids, they are looking down, and we are also looking down at them. But there is one between the center, there is one child which is looking at us, but we just ignore them due to the power, because they are having a low status in front of us.
Yes, and this, all the categories you will find in one picture, they are also taken from a long shot. They are shown as a group of people. Okay, they're not shown as individuals, but a group of people who are inferior to us. Okay, right, Umaira, you are right. Okay, let's continue with the social interaction. Now, as far as the social interaction is concerned, I was telling you that sometimes you have a feeling that the people in the picture are looking at you and they are interacting. Okay. There are pictures where we have a feeling that they are taken either without informing the people in the picture, or it was just taken, it was just a shot without, without their knowledge. So we find that the people are not interacting with us. Okay, the depicted people might not interact with the viewers. Okay, so if they do not look at us, they are as it were offered to our gaze as a spectacle for our dispassionate scrutiny. So when they are not looking at you, they are not interacting with you. Okay, and they are looked at people who do not even know that they would be looked at, right? So in social interaction, we see whether we are interacting with those people or we're not interacting with those people. Yes, Amma, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. We can also, explain that picture, the picture of that Brahmi refugees, in a sense that that picture was taken by a newspaper which was an anti-state, because Bengalis, the government of the Bangladesh was claiming that at that time that we are supporting our Muslim brothers from Burma and we are giving them shelter, we are providing them with food and all the basic necessities, and the empty plates and the way they were sitting are showing showing the failure of the Bengali government. Ma'am, can we interpret that picture in this way?
Yes, we can. Why not? Because it comes to us from, I think, from the Bangladesh media, okay, or from international media. But basically, I think it is taken from someone who is present in that country, right? Yes, we can. It's about angles also, and then there are more interpretations. What you can see in the pictures, okay? It was a long shot. It was taken from above. Then within that, one child was looking at the photographer, or later on, of course, at the viewers also. And then we looked at their empty plates also. They were asking for something. So there are a lot of interpretations, right? So we are talking about the social interaction. So the people in the picture, do they want something, what that something is, and then this is signified by other elements in the picture. In social interaction, then we can analyze the gestures, their facial expressions, whether they look down at us or not, or whether their bodies are angled towards us or not. So whatever is left from here, everything else is analyzed through this social action, right? Okay. Also, see, whatever pictures we studied, the picture in words, the words that accompany these pictures only tell us what the pictures are, okay? They do not tell us explicitly who are these people. Now, third world on our roads, that's the only caption that we get from the picture of the Muslim women in the Western countries. The Burmese refugee, what is happening to the Burmese refugees, what these pictures are speaking about, is not given to us through these words, right? So we need to interpret it by ourselves. for the Burmese refugees, we are not given any of the histories, what happened in Burma, why were they there, which country is keeping them. So we need to have all this connection built up on the basis of the picture that we get to see. So we need to work out for ourselves how to interpret these pictures. Now, while we are interpreting these pictures, there are, basically, there are three key factors. One is distance, angle, and gaze related to these. Okay, and all of these would be present. Like while we were doing other frameworks, I would tell you that it is not necessary that all categories would be present. But if you are talking about Leuven's framework, all of these categories would be present. There would be distance. You have to check the distance from a long shot or a close up. You need to check the angle, vertical, horizontal, at eye level, right? And then you have to look at the gaze. Gaze means how they are interacting with you, or how the people in the picture are interacting, and what else can be interpreted out of these pictures. So the pictures are, according to Leuven, are not two-dimensional pictures. Okay, so all they have to be, interpreted through all of these: distance, angle, and gaze. So other than that, what you need to look at is just give me a okay. Right. So at least there are three possible strategies for visually representing people as others, as not like us, as in-group and out-group. So these are the strategies that you can, that can be found in the pictures. One is distanciation, not close to us and strangers. We have seen while we were covering the social distance. Disempowerment through the angles below us, downtrodden, you know, um, looking down upon someone, or keeping someone at a higher position. So this comes to you through another category, okay, of social relations. Then social interaction gives you this strategy: objectivation, thinking of people or taking people as objects, okay, representing people as objects, and they are presented as if for scrutiny by the viewers. So they are not taken as subjects or the human subjects, addressing the viewers with their gaze and symbolically engaging with the viewers in this way, right? So whether they are interacting with the viewers or they are not interacting with the viewers, they are demanding something, they are asking, they are requesting, or they are not at all interacting. So these are the three strategies that are linked with the categories that we have studied already. Okay. Now let's talk about how these people are depicted. Okay. Now these people are depicted, and we need to find out. They can be depicted through exclusion, through their roles, through specific or generic, individual groups, or categorization. Okay. So all of these categories, they can be one of these or two of these categories in one. Basically, how are we looking at them? Okay, are we looking at are we looking at them as individuals? Are we counting them as group? We are neglecting their individuality. Are some people included or excluded in the pictures? Okay. Now, first of all, there is always a possibility of exclusion from the written discourses also, and from the pictures too, right? If I give you an example from the political scenario of Pakistan, you know that PPP was formed by the Bhutto family, okay? And after the death of Murtaza Bhutto and Benazir Bhutto, it logically it had to come to the back to the Bhutto family, um, to the children of Murtaza Bhutto, and to Ganwa Bhutto also. And Ganwa Bhutto started participating in the politics also. But what we observed in the media, that whenever PPP was depicted, it was depicted through Zardari. It was depicted through Bilawal. And then we also noticed a change in the discourse. The name of Bilawal was also changed because PPP belonged to Bhutto, and Bilawal had to, I wouldn't say he had to lead PPP, but he had to, confiscate a political party. So he had to change its name. It also happened through the discourses. When repeatedly you were told that he is Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, so now we have almost forgotten that he was Bilawal Zardari, one thing. The other thing is, whenever we looked at the picture or any news related to Pakistan People's Party, we did not find Ganwa there. Okay, so it was a strategy of exclusion. Now, with the passage of time, many of us even do not know Ganwa. How many of you know Ganwa? Who is Ganwa Bhutto? She has an interesting story, by the way. Yes, Saima. Yes, Saima, do you want to say something?
No, ma'am, I think I have not lowered my hand.
Okay, yes, Uzma. What do you want to say? Yes, I do not know who is this Galaxy S4, but she's right. Arre Humaira, she's not the daughter of Murtaza Bhutto. Yeah, general knowledge.
Oh.
Yes, Uzma, do you want to say something? Either Uzma is not audible to me, or she's just, raised her hand. Anyway. So,
Sorry,
so,
I have now just unmuted myself. I'm sorry.
okay, fine. Right. So this is how, the whole family got excluded. We did not find them in the picture. We did not find them in the discourses. And right now we don't see them as a part of this political party, right? So this is how exclusion takes place. In every organization, in every institution, you would see some people are covered more than the others, okay? Media cover some people or some parties or some group of people more than the others, okay? So those who are not covered are actually, they lie in this category of exclusion, okay? So there is inclusion, and there can be exclusion of specific people, kind of people, and representations of groups. This happens in institutions, this happens in societies, this happens in nations. So where they live and work and therefore belong. You must have seen that these indigenous people of America, um, Australia, New Zealand, they only, they are captured on just few days, maybe on some specific days. Otherwise, we don't see them in the news. They're not there. Okay, they are not being covered. So basically, they are excluded, right? Now, as I was telling you that during this Gulf War, while he was collecting these pictures, so what he found out that these Black Americans were part of the Allied forces, right? But whenever there were pictures of heroism, there were pictures of bravery, uh, these black soldiers were excluded. They were not included in the pictures. Okay. Similarly, it happened to the extent that sometimes these black people were photoshopped from the images, even if they were present. So this is called as racist exclusion, intentional exclusion. This does not happen by coincidence. Okay, this was intentional, right? Now, yes, Simon, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the exclusion of the Balochs from the Pakistani media, we can never find that anyone wearing Balochi clothes, as it is a part of the culture of the Pakistan. But we will see
Uh-huh.
in these and ads and everything, Pashtun culture we will find, but we will never see that anyone is wearing a Balochi dress. Now the Balochi dress is introduced.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if your voice is, intentionally excluded through the internet connection. I'm unable to listen to you. Yes, Humaira is raising her hand. Saima, we'll come back to you because you're not audible to us. Yes, Humaira.
Yes, ma'am. Saima is right that yes, their Baloch culture and their like dresses and all the other things are not depicted in the media. But same is the case with the Pashtun residing in Quetta. Their
In
culture is not
Pakistan is through
depicting.
that Turkish drama. A dress.
Yes,
Should I
Humaira.
speak or ma'am
Continue.
like ma'am वो साइमा बात कर रही थी, she wants to say something, so that's why I stopped. Ma'am,
Saima is
the
not
people
here.
reside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Pashtun people residing in Quetta, their culture is not depicting. But on the Pashtuns, they are residing in KPK. Only their culture is depicting, and we are far different from them. Their culture, their dressing style, and their food, all the things
Mm-hmm.
are different from the people here in Quetta. And even most of people in Pakistan, they don't know that not only Baloch, Pashtun are also residing in Quetta. So maybe due to this name Balochistan, so that's why they don't know that even Pashtun are residing here and they have their own belt here in Balochistan. So this is the case in the media, and most of the thing like we have discussed in the previous classes, Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, it was just excluded in media. Yes, in social
Mm-hmm.
media it was propagated for some time, but in our media, in our electronic media, it was not propagated and it was not given much attention to that movement. And
Mm-hmm.
even people are they are asked not to highlight this topic and not to voice the raise again, not to voice the raise the voice for it, for this movement. So this is also with us and with Baloch as well.
Okay, we'll discuss this. This is an issue more than just culture. Yes, Uzma.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, ma'am, meaning this thing has raised a question in my mind also, like Humaira's and Sima's point. Usually when Pakistani culture is put across, they usually show the, people from Gilgit and Hunza, even in the social studies books of our children throughout from class 1 to class 8. I think I have seen on the cover page of that, the little girl who is dressed up in Hunza, Hunzian clothes, and whereas it's not an overall depiction. So could there be any reason? I mean, because we know that they are little at odd with us also most of the time, with the rest of the Pakistan. So is it for the sake of showing solidarity with them or what? Or maybe it is unintentional, but most of the time, if you look at the cover pages of the social studies book, they're from Hunza side, not even only the places. Okay, places can show the beauty of Pakistan, but typically people who are grouped and singly, even some child is highlighted. She or he is dressed up in Hunzian clothes. Could there be any reason behind that?
Okay. Yes, maybe that's the point that we want to include them and we want to show them as people of Pakistan, as close to us as the rest of the ethnic group. That might be the reason. Since I have not seen the book, but this is quite a valid point. This might be the reason. Other than that, what Humaira has pointed towards, Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, it was intentionally not covered by Pakistani electronic media, though it was present there in the social media quite often. There was another reason. There were policy matters related to it. Okay, the movement was not really a pro-Pakistani movement. For that reason, it wasn't covered by the media, and perhaps there must be some instructions not to cover this movement. So that was also an intended exclusion, I would say. And as far as covering the culture is concerned, um, those cultures are covered as cultures on some specific days. Other than that, it has always been highlighted that the news from Balochistan are never covered in the media, in the mainstream media. Anything that is happening in the rest of the provinces is covered, but the stories from here are not covered. Now there can be economic reasons also, right? uh, Maybe they are getting more money, or they are getting more what do you call them, rating is higher when the news are covered which is related to more people can relate to the news, because they are higher in population. The rest of the provinces are higher in population. Other than that, what is happening in the interior of Balochistan might be of less interest to the majority of the viewers, okay, for any reason. There was an interesting documentary on BBC like 2 years ago, and there was this person, I'm just forgetting his name, Sharjeel Baloch. Okay, he was at that time, I don't know where he's working now. He's basically a doctor, but he works in the media. So he was working in BBC at that time. So he just took the mic and went on the streets of Punjab. Okay, I think it was Lahore, and he started asking about the places and people and things related to Balochistan, and so many people did not know about it. Okay, who are the people residing here? What are their languages, their concerns, things like this. So this was an eye opener. The documentary was a real eye opener that people across Pakistan have very less knowledge about people living in Balochistan, right? So there can be number of reasons for this exclusion. Rating can be a reason. There can be economic reason. Maybe less people are able to relate to what is happening, right? Now see, we keep on watching the news, what happened to the young doctors in Mio Hospital, Lahore. Okay, we know about their medical colleges also, but I don't think many people would know what is happening to BMC here. Okay, what is going on? What are the concerns of the students? The privatization issues, and so many more issues that are taking place right now. So yes, there is exclusion, intended one also, and then of course money makes the mayor go. That might be the reason as well. Yes, Simon, what do you want to say? You became inaudible to us.
Ma'am, I was saying that as I was a student of a government school, we had books there. The pictures of the Punjabi culture, Sindhi culture, and even Pashtun culture were present. But we didn't see any picture of a Balochi, a women wearing Balochi clothes. So I think that our clothes and our culture is far rich than theirs. I, I I think so. I don't know what they think about this, but they were excluded. These days, a Turkish drama is popular here in Pakistan, and a character is wearing Balochi dress, which is not beautiful. I'm not watching that, but a girl shared a picture of that girl who is wearing a dress with a jab, Balochi jab, and now this fashion is becoming popular in Pakistan, but they don't know anything about Balochistan. What they know is just The Baloch people always complain about state. They use victim card. As ma'am, I am taking online class of political science for CSS. I got disconnected. I daily get disconnected time and again because it's evening time. So when I requested the sir to send me the recordings, sir says that, you people are used to of using victim card, and you people are, you people always just complain against the government. And I said, okay sir, I don't want the recordings. I'll just I'll just manage. This is what we how we were excluded, and how the discourses were produced, and now what the people think through those discourses about the people of Balochistan.
Okay, that's interesting. But personally, these Baloch dresses perhaps are very, very expensive. You can buy like two branded dresses also in what you would buy one Baloch dress. Balochi dress, like one of our colleagues told us, it cost like 30,000 and 40,000. So you see, it's about affordability also. It might be
Yes
nice.
ma'am.
So this is one of the, you need to lessen the price of your culture dresses so that everyone buys it and they can be in fashion also. Okay, I tell you something very, very interesting. Like, popularly in Pakistan, we have these groups of people that we keep on showing on the TV also, or jab bhi, this is the 14 August is here. We have, most of the time, we have 4 to 5 cultures. Now, when Pakistan came into being, the dominant group was the group of immigrants who were Urdu speaking, and they happened to settle in Karachi, most of them, and not just in Karachi, but the urban part of Sindh, right? Now, their culture became popular also because their mother tongue was given the status of a national language, right? Now, these people who came from there were in large number a part of bureaucracy, and they were out of proportion represented in the government jobs, because those were the people who were educated. Okay, later on other people started getting education, and then they were quota system also, and then things happened. But what is now seen is, they do not have a name of their own as an ethnic group. They are called by their mother tongue as Urdu speakings, and they are not culturally represented in Pakistan anywhere, in the schools also, on television as well, right? Otherwise, when Pakistan came into being, they were the most dominant group, not by population. They were just 8% or maybe 7 point something percent of the total population, and their language became the national language. Um, they were the initial leaders also. Qaid was also an immigrant, but he wasn't Urdu speaking. He was from Gujarat. Liaquat Ali Khan, the first prime minister of Pakistan, and later on we had the prime ministers were all from the immigrant families. So, those people, with the passage of time, almost got excluded from now from the politics also. You must have seen what happened to MQM, and then culturally as well, maybe. So this happens, okay? And this happens in stages also. Yes, Saima.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, though their language is the national language, but still they are facing racism, and the word which is used for them, that is muhajir, and that is used in a negative sense. And also the
Yeah.
representation of Altaf Hussein. Yes, ma'am. One of my friends told me that my brother got engaged to a muhajir. Don't discuss this thing with my cousins. They are Pathans, so they will point out this thing. We have just hide her identity, and we have not mentioned this, that she is a muhajir. I said that their language is the native national tongue of your country. Then why you hiding this thing?
Yes, and we are going to discuss these immigrant population in detail in the next framework that we would be doing, because that is related to the historical perspective. So what I'm telling you that this is not, a sudden exclusion. This exclusion takes place in stages. Okay, and it has to do a lot with martial law. It has to do a lot with the kind of democracy that Pakistan has seen. It has a lot to do with the history, political history also. Yes, Umaira.
Ma'am, these Urdu-speaking people, as you have told that their culture is not specified, not specific name is given to them. Ma'am, maybe due to their population, they are not much highlighted in Pakistan. And like Balochi, they are as compared to Punjabi, they are also less in population. So maybe due to population is maybe one of the reason to be excluded in the in electronic media or in Pakistan.
There are reasons more than just the population. As you know, Usma has just told us that she has seen the pictures on the books of social studies, books of the different schools, people from Hunza and Gilgit, right? So their culture is being promoted also. We see them often. She's right, right? So it is not a matter of population. There are a lot of things that are happening that results in creation of certain discourses, that result in exclusion of specific people and the inclusion of some others. So that is why we say that, discourse doesn't stand alone. It is related to other discourses also. It is related to a certain context also. No discourse is without a context. Okay, some have a huge context, some have a huge history behind those discourses, right? Now let's come to, we have discussed interestingly, we have discussed exclusion. Now let's go to the roles. Now, what kind of roles can we see the depicted people in? So we would see what action they are involved in, or what action they are shown to be involved in. Okay, so they may be the agents who are doing the action, or they may be the patient who are receiving the action, the people to whom the action is being done. Besides using these two terms as agent and patient, just see what the picture is depicting. What are they doing? Now, as far as these Burmese, what these Burmese people are doing, they are at the receiving end. They are waiting for the help. They are waiting for the food. Okay, so in what action? The action is a kind of a begging action that shows poverty at their end, that shows helplessness at the end. So in that role, we see them as in the role of receiving the help, in the role of powerlessness, in the role of helplessness, right? Yes, Umaira, what do you want to say?
Ma'am, like in Lewin given us the examples of roles of black people, he said that they were depicting in the lower status roles,
Yes.
like they were distributing wines in the bar, and they were shown that they are the agents, but they were showing in a very lower status job. So this is also racism, which is shown through the pictures.
And you have examples other than these black people. You have examples from your own media also, or from the movies or from the dramas that you see. Now, if you remember this Munna Bhai MBBS, the sweeper was a Muslim. Okay, whenever most of the time when Muslims are depicted in the Indian movies, they are not on high jobs. They are doing the blue collar, right? In Pakistani dramas, whenever you would see the Pathans, if a role is given to a Pathan, popularly he's a driver. Okay, and through their accent also they try to tell you their ethnic identity. Okay, and what role is being assigned to them, right? Internationally, if you see, and what Leuven has experienced through the collection of his pictures, he has seen these black people just not being, beside being, excluded, but whenever some role is given to them, those roles are of the menial jobs, of criminals, of, they are involved in and this is what gives rise to stereotypical views. Okay, blacks are criminals because blacks are shown in such jobs. in such roles also. So what is done when these people are depicted in this way as agents or patient, or different roles are assigned to them? This is symbolically oppressing them. Okay, when you want to oppress people, you show them in such roles, as criminals, as thieves, as murderers, poor, as poor people living in slums. So you are symbolically, you have not written, you have not given them any words, you are not verbally saying anything, but these are symbolically oppressed. Okay, so these are, and when someone is excluded from the photograph, they are symbolically excluded. Okay, and this exclusion and inclusion can be in matter of roles also. What roles are assigned while you are taking a picture? Okay, so you are including them in some roles, or you are excluding them in other roles, right? Okay, you don't have to see the international photographs. You just see your dramas, you just see your movies. Whenever they want to show an uneducated, and whenever they want to show an educated person, he would be speaking good Urdu. Whenever they want to show someone who is not educated, who is illiterate, they would actually give them a heavy accent. Okay, so education is related to good Urdu language, or even English also. People who are shown to code switch, they are depicted as modern. Whenever an elite family is shown in the dramas, they are speaking English. Okay, even if the drama is Urdu, they are code switching a lot, right? So this is how a picture changes the ideas of people, that if you want to look elite, you need to speak English. Okay, if you want to be considered as a person of the upper class, then this is what you are supposed to do. This is the way you need to dress, and this is the way you need to speak. Okay, now let's come to specific and generic. So in the pictures, we need to see whether the person is shown in some as specific or generic. In the case of language, this distinction is of evident importance for the study of racist discourses. For instance, are we specifically talking about Jew or the black person, or about Jews or blacks in general? Okay, now if you remember that picture, third world on our streets, we saw a group of people. Okay, those were the Muslim people. So are we just generally talking about them, or are we specifying them? Okay, so are we can talk about groups, we can talk about individuals in the next category, but are we generally talking about people, or are we specifying a particular group? Okay, the picture of Muslim women was specifying. It was just not general, it was specifying. And such specificity, or using it generally, gives rise to the racist discourses. Okay, other than that, we need to see whether people are shown as individuals, or they are shown as group of people. Okay, so he says that in his collection of photographs from the Gulf War, Allied soldiers were depicted as individuals, and Iraqi soldiers were depicted as groups. Okay, so Allied forces were fighting against the Iraqi soldiers. So Allied soldiers were shown as braver, so they were shown as individuals. They had their individuality, while the enemies, the Iraqis, they were shown as a whole group. And similarly, as we seen in the picture also, these Muslims were shown as a group, and those two were as individuals. Okay, so they were a group of Muslim women, but those two were individuals who were from two different races. So showing someone in a group is about stereotyping them. maybe you're also putting them in specific roles as well, right? Yes, Simon, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. From the picture of the Muslim, I just remember the exclusion of the minority religions in Pakistani dramas and also in the culture and textbooks. We never find that anyone is, celebrating Holi and Diwali. Somehow, uh, Easter and Christmas are included just because of that. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's their portrayal as the brothers of Muslim and the discourses which he produced, but Hindus are completely neglected, and I have never watched in any movie that any drama of Pakistan that the Parsis or the Hindus and any other, even the Christians, no one is included. They are excluded completely. But we
Um,
have, yes,
yes.
but we have, a white strip on our flag for them.
Mhm. Like exclusion of Hindus, has again political reasons, and inclusion of Christians, like Christmas or Easter, as far as the festivals are concerned. I'm not talking about the people. Of course, we saw this Christian community suffering a lot in Pakistan. Um, every now and then we get news that they have been beaten up in the neighborhood of the Muslims, or
Yes,
they have been blamed or accused of blasphemy. So these news are quite common for the Christian community. But as far as
yes.
Hindus are concerned, of course, there are political reasons that we do not encourage their culture and their religion. Okay. Yes,
But,
Humera, what do you want to say?
uh,
Humera
Yes,
is
ma'am.
ready. Yes, Humera.
Yes, ma'am. I want to say, ma'am, I remember that when Hamid Mir he came to conference at university, so then he went to arts department. There was exhibition. There was the exhibition in arts department. So after that, then he wrote a column regarding that exhibition. So he had written in his column or in his article, he said that for a minute I felt that I'm in Lahore's arts exhibition when he saw the
Mm-hmm.
exhibition in Quetta or in SBK University. So can we say that he is talking about the students of SBK in general, because he is comparing them with, because he is saying that he is not expecting, deep down he is saying this thing, that implicitly he is saying this thing, that he is not expecting such a beautiful art produced by the students at
Mm-hmm.
Balochistan. So we can say
Yes.
that he is about the students of SBK in general, because he is comparing with students of Lahore, that they are more means advanced, and they are having more skills than students of Balochistan.
Yes, exactly. Till you do not actually interact and live with those people or compete with those people, you are with them in their classrooms. Um, since I have my education from many different universities, and I've visited different provinces also, but a general perception about the students of Balochistan that I also had to face was that they come from a very weak educational background, and they do not know about many of the things that might be known to the students of the other provinces. This is quite a general perception, and how many of us would get a chance to visit those universities, study there, and change this perspective? Okay. um, of course, when we were there, and we scored well, we competed well with them. So the perspective of some people, like I had like 9 class fellows in my PhD. So, but as an overall view about the students of Balochistan or about the people of Balochistan is similar, as you have said, Hamid Mir. Of course, the implicit meanings were that he was expecting something below standard from the students of arts department of SBK Women's University. Yes, that was the implied meaning. So I told you that this is a very popular perception. I would call it a perception because there's no reality in it. We have really good students. But see this, since these online classes have begun, um, I don't know. Since I cannot give a very categorical statement about it. because there were students who were against these online classes on the pretext that many of the students do not have access to the internet. Now, as far as our department is concerned, and I've been teaching 3 courses to the undergrad department, then I'm teaching you as an MPhil class. The attendance is higher, okay, than expected. Now, out of 80 students, that is my largest class, 60 students are present, right? And when it came to submitting the assignments, they coordinated so well that people who were not attending the classes, they also submitted their assignments some way. And then we are recording for them. So somehow CRs are managing to send them the recordings. I'm not sure how is it happening, but this is happening. Now, the people who were on the roads that, these classes should be stopped. One thing I did not agree with their slogan. The slogan should not be to stop the online classes, but the slogan should be to make it available for the rest of the people. Okay. It is not that if I'm not getting something, no one else should get that. This is not, good human ethics. One thing I did not agree to their slogan, but the other thing is that we are teaching girls right now. So if girls can manage, and trust me, there are students who do not have these gadgets and they have borrowed it from their father or from their brothers. Okay. So I really appreciate that the brothers are generous enough that they would give their gadgets for like 5-6 hours of their classes that their sisters are taking. That is really encouraging, something that I see in Balochistan. So, one thing that is, really surprising, we are teaching girls who have limited means, right? But then there are boys who have more means. They can arrange much more than the girls could do. They can travel also. I have seen them on BBC. They are, climbing the mountains to get the signals. So they can do much more. But our girls are doing wonderfully well as far as these online classes are concerned. And as far as my attendance, I cannot, that's why I told you that I cannot give a categorical statement here. I do not know all the areas of Balochistan. Maybe there are certain areas where internet is blocked for political reasons also. There must be, okay? And we are required to teach each and every student. So even one student is left, the lectures need to be repeated. This is another thing. But I have seen the attendance at the higher end. Okay, most of the students are taking the classes. Yes, Saima.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to say something about that internet connectivity issues. Ma'am, as you were saying that the girls are having access, ma'am, like I am having my father's phone, which is, that has the strongest signal, and he is, happily he has provided his phone to me, but he will not do this if my brother wants that, because he will say that you can arrange it by yourself. And the other thing is that the number of the girls who are getting education, they are, I think in my opinion, are from from middle class or from elite class, but the girls of the lower class, they are not getting education. But the boys who are facing internet issues, they are almost from lower class, because the gender difference in education, we can see that the literacy rate of women is far less than the than men. This is the reason that the girls are getting internet access. And the internet connectivity issues, ma'am, as I also agree with you that they can say that we want access to internet, but they don't have the right to say that stop online classes and all that. But ma'am, Turbat, which is the second largest city of Balochistan, they are not having access to internet. My own district, Panjgur, they are not having access to internet. Emna has migrated to Karachi just to get internet connection. And Bakht, she has right now texted me that request, ma'am, that I am not, being connected, and I am not also able to listen the uploaded lectures. And ma'am, I think this is the reason that boys are facing issues in internet connectivity. And ma'am, they have suspended internet and they are not even giving connection of DSL to anyone. Those who already have, they have, but new ones are not getting connection.
Yeah, there must be many reasons, right? And as far as yes, Bakht also left a message in the chat that my voice isn't clear in the recorded lectures, and then I asked Humaira to re-listen to those, but it is clear there must be something wrong with your gadget, and perhaps you can download it and you can have access to it offline also. So recordings are fine. I also re-listen to it. Please communicate. I'll also communicate to Bah that she need to change her gadget, or she need to fix the gadget, okay? Because recordings are fine. There must be some problem with at her end, right? And I don't think she would need internet to listen to me. The recordings are downloadable, I guess so. If they're not downloadable, I'll make them downloadable, okay? There perhaps would be an option. Yes, Humaira.
Yes, ma'am. Recordings are fine, and I think this Bakht is having a fine gadget, but it is not downloaded because the signals are not that much strong to make it download for her, because it's a
Huge
recording of
file.
three
Yeah,
hour.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Huge file. That's why, ma'am, she is having a problem, and she is having a problem with not only with your recording, with Ma'am Shumaila's as well, and she told me that it is not. Ma'am means if it is a recording of 1 hour or 1.5 hour, it gets downloaded. But if it's a huge file, then it is impossible for her to download.
Okay, right.
Yes, ma'am.
One thing that I can do is I only upload the audio files. The audio files would become lighter and maybe downloadable. I don't know, but then she wouldn't get to see the slides, or mm, get to see the pictures also. Sometimes we are sharing things from the book also, right? So coming to the last category, and then I'll show you some of the pictures also and some of the thesis as well. Now in visual categorization is about whether people are categorized culturally or biologically, right? The culturally means as a group of people, and in culture it comes as the religion also. And we saw that people can be depicted culturally as well, as a group also, and within the group as culture also, and they can be represented biologically also. Now by biological we do not mean only in terms of gender. By biological we mean the way their faces are depicted. For instance, blacks have a different biology, right? So there we see that their features are exaggerated in pictures. Okay, there is an exaggeration of physical features to connote the negative or positive associations which are represented culturally, and this is how groups can be biologically represented as blacks and whites and yellow and browns. There are 4 skin colors. So this is the biological categorization basically that leads to racism also, right? And according to Leuven, when a biological category is given in a picture, okay, so this category is taken as in the blood, that is ineradicable. It is ineradicable, you cannot remove it. If you are born in a specific group, ethnically, religiously, or anything that has to do with your group belonging, uh, you cannot change it. Okay, so basically biological categorization, ethnic categorization, or categorization by nationality, this becomes ineradicable. You cannot change your category. Okay, of course religious category doesn't come in here. Religious category is almost like a culture category. You can change your religion, but you cannot change your ethnicity, you cannot change your skin color. And that is why those can be negatively associated and those can be positively associated. Okay, That is why you see most of the models are white, even in Pakistan, because beauty standards are, beauty standards are such that in order to sell a product, you need a beautiful face, and the beauty is defined by the white skin. Okay, so this is biological categorization, right? So, so at least we have five different strategies for visually representing people as other. Follow from the discussion that we have done in this section. There can be exclusion. There can be category depending people, depicting people as agents, or they can be shown in the roles that have low esteem, that are subservient, that are criminals, or that are evil. So these are some of the categories that we have covered today, right? Now, and Leuven has formed a good flow chart also, so that you do not miss any of the categories. While Mariam, please mute yourself. Just wait. Okay, let me show you the flow chart. I think Humaira wants to say. Yes, Humaira, what do you want to say?
Yes, ma'am. In the beginning, you said that the words when we utter the word, these words cannot be negate, but the picture can be negate. So this the West Indies captain, his name is Darren Sammy. He tweets that Indian cricketer called him Kalu. So he asked them to apologize. The Indian cricketers, they said that no, we don't mean that. We don't have that intention that we are racist, or we are like highlighting racism. We just call him Kalu because he is our friend, and we just were playing, and that's why we call him Kalu. So he said no, they have to apologize because they are having this intention. So they are unable to negate the word, so they apologize. They tweet and they apologize. That is Sami, that they call him Kalu.
Right. And this has happened many times in the cricket history. It was just not this player. There has been many times someone is calling them something all the time. Anyway, I don't know when this racism would stop. We have racists in our family also. Why going far away? You will find these racists in your family too. Okay, let me show you these categories in your book here. People having lesser exposure are, they are more racist. They are more nationalist maybe, but I don't know. But the world was never free of racism anyway. Historically, we were never free of racism. So this is the visual representation of social actors. Distance, relation, interaction. In distance, you see how close or far, long shot or a close-up, right? And then in relation, you see involvement and power. In involvement, you see this angle, frontal angle, and in detachment, you see the oblique angle, okay? And in power, you see if the viewer has the power over the representation about the people depicted. High angle, equality is eye level, and representation has power over viewers, okay? Below angle. Other than that, you have interaction, direct address and indirect address, okay? Represent people looking at the viewer, and represented person does not look at viewers, okay? So this is the whole framework that we studied today. Other than that, I would like you to show you some pictures. See this. What's different here? Muslim women. This is labeled, the picture is labeled as Muslim women. What is different here? You see any different, someone different in the picture? Yes, Uzma.
Yes, the girl without the scarf amongst all the girls who were
Exactly,
wearing scarves.
exactly. she is different from the group. Okay, and she sees what she's shown as worried also. Yes, Humaira.
Yes, ma'am. I want to highlight the same thing, that the girl without scarf, she is showing as individual, not she is not the part of that group. Maybe this thing is highlighted here. All
Yes,
the other are shown as a group, but she is highlighted as individual.
yes, she's individual, she is not like the group. Okay, Gulmina has given the right answer in the chat section. Okay, other than that, you know, these are Muslim women, but this is individual categorization, this is categorization by group. Okay, so here is how people are presented as other. Basically, this is our concern as CD analyst. The strategy of exclusion, not representing people at all in context where in reality they are present. We have, you know, discussed it enough that actually there are ethnic groups that are present in Pakistan, but they are not being depicted. Okay, then there are indigenous people in the US that are not being depicted. There have been soldiers in the light forces fighting in the Gulf War that were also excluded. Then the strategy of depicting people as agent of actions which are held in low esteem or regarded as subservient, deviant, criminal, or evil. That we have seen how people, in what situation or what action or what jobs are assigned to people. Okay. Then we have a category of showing people as homogeneous group, as you have seen the Muslim women, and thereby denying them individual characteristics and differences. They are all the same. When we say that Muslims are terrorists, that means we are representing Muslims as a group of people. Okay, we are not talking about individual, we are generalizing it, which is really dangerous. Okay, the strategy of negative culture connotation, the strategy of negative racial stereotyping, like blacks are criminals and Muslims are, you know, terrorists. And Uzma gave an example in the chat section also. Sikhs are the Sikh by religion who practice Sikhism. They are usually thought to be foolish. Okay, so this is negative racial stereotyping, which is very, very common. And these days, in COVID-19 days, it's the Chinese who spread corona. Despite the fact that this is pandemic, when some disease is you know, declared as pandemic, it has to be there in every country. There is no particular specific group of people who can spread it or who have become the reason of spreading it. It had to spread because it's a pandemic. Logical. Okay, so this is negative racial stereotyping, or your negative culture connotations. They are always there. Okay, exclusion, inclusion. In inclusion, you have involved in action, generic, specific, culture categorization, biological categorization, and then you have individual or group. Homogenization and differentiation. As groups, there are two groups, similar groups and the different groups. Okay. We have talked about the categories. Okay. Returning to the point one. Okay, the same picture. Now this is the category and it is summarized here in the end. We are just finishing it and then we start with what the toys would do. Okay. So this is the description of the picture. You can read by yourself. We have discussed the picture enough, you know. Culturally categorized, generic, and shows as a relatively homogeneous group. The Muslims connote something like Middle East, Islam, are distant from us, literally shown as being on the other side of the street. Yet in a Dutch environment, the bicycles, the picture on the right contrast with, you know, we are talking about the Muslim women and the two people. Boy and the girl categorized by means of their blonde hair and black skin, but also to a much greater degree represented as specific individuals and much closer to us, the viewers, because they are taken from a close-up. Okay, they are not taken from a long shot. So when these elements are put together, grasped visually in a single glance, a message is conveyed which goes perhaps something like this. You can read this analysis. We have almost analyzed the whole picture, okay, and most of the pictures. Okay, before moving to, representing social actors with toys. Now, there is a game. I have not seen it. This is called as something mobile, and they show families there. They show professions there. But what I thought of a similar kind of toys here. You must have seen Barbies. Okay, I don't know how many of you are keeping good collections of Barbies. Initially, Barbies were only white. Okay, and then they were in different professions. They started with the profession of nursing, and then they were like hostess also, and models, actresses and models initially. Later on, after many decades, because Barbie is a very old doll, so later on we found black Barbies also. Okay, and then we found them in more professions, right? Similar is the case perhaps with the toy set that they are talking about, and where there are ethnic families. It is called as play mobile. Okay, and what happens is ethnic families are shown as colored families, and they are shown as families who have more children. Okay, white families shown with 2 children, and ethnic families are shown with more children. They are shown in lower professions also. These are only toys. Okay, we are not talking about the pictures, but we are talking about the toys. How toys give a certain perspective to the children. Okay, about the ethnic families and about the white people, right? You can it's an interesting chapter, but since we haven't seen this this Playmobil range of toys, so but you can read it for your semiotic analysis. This would help you. Okay, other than that, I would like to show you some of the pictures, right? Let me enter some people here, and then I'll take you to some of the pictures. Here. Okay, these pictures are old, but they'll give you some information. Go here. See, people represented as a group. And these are Kashmiri women. There is no text given, but you can see. Okay, a group of Muslim women, and basically these are the Kashmiri women. Who's this? Okay, let me show you another picture. Now I show you the picture of Nawaz Sharif, and it was about the Panama Gate. Now look here. A similar picture with a different caption. Okay. Here. PM Nawaz Sharif issues fresh orders to tackle terrorist threats from Raw. He's shown to be thinking, he's shown to be, and this is different from that of Panama Gates, right? And I told you that these pictures are not taken for this specific headline, but whenever the headline matches this headline, they give this picture, okay? Other than that, let me show you some other picture. How many of you know about this woman? that I'm going to show you now. What is its background? What is the background of this woman that you are seeing right now? I hope you're seeing one woman. Yes, let's take Uzma first, and Saima will take you afterwards. Yes, Uzma. There's someone on the chat also. Yes, Uzma.
As far as I remember, she was the one who was photographed by an American photographer for her eyes, maybe.
Yes,
And
exactly.
he photographed, right. When she was a child, and when she grew up, he photographed her again, and then he showed the difference that during through these decades he had grown much older than she was supposed to be, because she had suffered a
Yes.
lot and everything.
Exactly. Gulmina is giving us the right answer. She's Sharbat Gulla is her name. Okay. And the story is already told to you by Uzma. And Humaira is telling us, yes, there are Barbies with scarves also. I'm really interested to see the Barbies now. I saw them years ago. Yes, there must be Barbies with the scarves too. Okay. Yes, Saima, what you are saying? What are you saying? Simon, do you want to say something?
Ma'am, what I wanted to say, Usma said that she is the National Geographic girl. Her picture was taken by the National Geographic.
Yeah, while she was a child, and this immigration was a new phenomena then, when she migrated to Pakistan from Afghanistan due to the Afghan war that was happening perhaps in the 70s and 80s. So her picture was
when she
captured.
became a refugee, which we can see in the picture, and that clear, and in Pakistan, they just she has to be. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And then, the person came back after a number of years to find in search of the same girl. She went to those camps also. And interestingly, so many, women were ready to show their faces. We know that these women observe Parda, but because perhaps they were being offered money also, so they claim to be Sharbat Gulla. But these Americans are really smart. He reached the right woman. By that time, she was married, and she had children also. I don't know if she's in the US or where. She's in a better place. I heard that she's in a better place now. She was helped by this photographer also, and by the US too. She was bought a house in Islamabad or something like that. So see, this picture tells you a lot. This picture tells you something of the history also, that a migration took place from Afghanistan to this country, and then she was one of them, and what is she doing now, and what was the interest of National Geographic. Anyway, there were a number of stories related to the politics also, that the women is searched for some political reasons also. The man is perhaps a spy or something. So many stories surrounded this picture. Okay, now there is another picture. Now see the angle this picture is taken, from which side the picture has been taken. See the bars, right? So what do you get of this picture? Yes, Uzma, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. It is from that angle, meaning looked up to this boy, showing the heroism behind the barbed wires, or meaning I think it's a heroic depiction of this child. I mean, a soldierly like posture of him, and a composure on his face, and the wires are showing that, of course, something is going.
He's on the borders, okay?
Yes,
He's
yes.
perhaps on the borders, right? Okay. Now let me show you something from the published paper also. Now see, I'm showing you a picture which is without words, an image without words, okay? And I'll show you the same picture with words, right? see this Chief of the Army Staff, ex-Chief of the Army Staff, right? Now, there are no words given to this picture. What do you understand by this? What is the picture? What is it? Does it have any positive connotation, or how is it being portrayed? How this man is being portrayed, let's put it this way. You don't see any words here. Why everyone got so quiet? Yes, who's raising? Yes, Humaira.
Ma'am, he is portrayed in a positive way, that he is saluting his
Exactly.
flag, and I think a guard of honor.
Mm-hmm. He's you know, he's being portrayed in a very positive way, as a decorated soldier and a patriot. Okay, now let me show you what's written in this picture. I think those were the times. Yes, see, General Rahil is one of the best, if not the best, army chief Pakistan has ever had. Right? So he is the best army chief here. So see how, what is your interpretation goes with this one also. Okay, we can add a lot more, but of course it was a positive portrayal of the journal. Yes, Naima Shah is also right. It shows his patriotism and it shows his bravery also. Okay. Now let me show you the published paper. It was basically an assignment that I'm giving to you. So it was accepted in the US for a conference also. Can the subaltern sketch a critical semiotic analysis of the novel Munnu, a boy from Kashmir, right? I've also read this novel. It only has graphics, and you know, it's a quick reading because you only go through the pictures completely without words. Sometimes there can be words, but basically, you know, it was done by Shogla Mandukhel. She has done her thesis also. Okay. Now, if I read the abstract for you, this is very interesting because she has taken two theoretical frameworks. You perhaps know about Spivak, okay? From your literary theories, you must have done this, okay? And she combines it with critical discourse analysis and this Lewins and Kress framework, right? Okay, the paper is formulated under the conceptual framework of Gayatri Spivak's theory of Can Subalterns Speak, and explores the potential permeability of visual resources as a form of discourse through which subaltern. Do you know what are graphic novels? Have you seen graphic novels? How many of you have seen graphic novels? Humaira, yes, or Uzma has seen a graphic novel. Okay, perhaps you know what are graphic novels. That's good. That's good. Okay. So this is one of the graphic novels. It's quite thick, but it's a very easy reading because there are only pictures. So now, as visual resources is a form of discourse through which subalterns found opportunity to counter media hegemony and make their voices heard. In order to analyze the selected graphic novels, Munnu, a boy from Kashmir, it's a 2015 novel. The present qualitative study applies Gunther Truss and Lubin's model of visual designs that connects the representational meaning to the interactive one. He has given another model also, related, but a little different, but again, applicable on the pictures. Okay, so I'll give you a paper also on that. You can read it by yourself, a quick reading. Okay. The analyst reflected upon how the interplay of visual images and words together displayed the theme of Kashmir's subjugation, as well as how this genre has proved supportive to author to counter the said hegemony. Hence, the study found consent, political domination, and media control as the broad elements that can be seen in the novel. And also the study concludes that counter-hegemony is possible through such literary genres, as the novel's narrator has communicated those aspects of hegemonic situation in Kashmir to a large audience through literary discourse of graphic novel genres that are chiefly absent from the mainstream media's treatment of the Kashmir's conflict. Okay, so she has basically combined two theories. One is the Spivaks and the other is Lewin's. Okay, so it's a really good paper and a published one as well. Now I'm going to show you a thesis which is awaiting defense. It also got very good evaluation. This was done by Fatima Afridi and my supervision. Let me find this out. Okay, this must be in the downloads. Okay, I hope this thesis is visible to you. We will soon get a paper from this thesis once the defense is done. If you're interested in the defense, her defense would be, you know, right, like in 1 or 2 weeks. If you're interested, I can take you on Zoom with her examiner. Is in NED Karachi. Okay, anyway, this thesis is the pictorial depiction of Afghan refugees in Pakistani e-media post 9/11, critical discourse and an analytical study. What I would like to show you is her selection of the pictures. She selected pictures. This is her 4th chapter. Okay. Now keep looking at the pictures. See the culture categorization. Women in shuttlecock, and like we have this burqa in black color usually. Iranians also, and here also, and in Saudi Arabia that black color is compulsory, but these Afghan women are usually seen in blue. Okay, then this this little girl, she's captured from above. Okay, and looking at us, interacting, trying to interact with us. See a long shot of the slum areas. See the blue color and the girl looking at you. Again, these refugees, a long shot. She's shown across the bar, okay, worried also and looking for some help from across the border. Here. 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 See the roles that are assigned to them or that they are shown in these roles. Okay. Here, another picture shown as a group of women, see, in the same color, see, as a family, all in blue, all in blue. See? See the place they are shown in and the roles. See the roles here. Okay. So she has worked on a number of pictures. The thesis would soon be available for reading in the library, right? Do you have any questions related to today's lecture? I think we are done. You just need to read the last chapter also if you're interested to look at the roles that are propagated through, and just not through the media, but through the toys also. That toys also form a kind of discourse. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'm putting the recording on stop.